The roar of the crowd hit me like a freight train as I spiked the ball into the end zone. The confetti exploding around us like we'd just cracked open the sky. Victory tasted like sweat and Gatorade. But then I saw him, Jax, the equipment manager, standing off to the side, his face pale as a ghost, clutching my helmet like it was the only thing keeping him upright. "Coach says you're benched for the championship," he whispered, his voice cracking like thunder in my ear. And in that split second, the whole damn world I'd built came crashing down. I shoved past the reporters, my cleats crunching the turf like brittle bones, and grabbed Jax by the arm, pulling him into the shadowed underbelly of the stadium where the echoes of cheers turned to ghosts. "What the hell do you mean? Benched? I carried this team." My words came out raw, venomous, but his eyes, those deep brown pools that always seemed to see right through my bullshit, didn't flinch. Instead, he handed me a crumpled email printout, his fingers trembling against mine, and that's when I read the words that gutted me. Suspicion of performance-enhancing drugs. Immediate suspension pending investigation. It wasn't just the championship slipping away. It was everything. The scouts from the NFL. The dreams I'd clawed from the dirt of a nowhere Texas town. The weight of my family's faded hopes pinned on my shoulders like an invisible yoke. And Jax? He was just the kid who taped ankles and lugged gear, a nobody in the machine of college football at the University of Texas at Austin. Or so I thought. That night, as the stadium lights buzzed like angry hornets overhead, he didn't walk away like everyone else. He stayed, handing me a water bottle with a quiet, "You didn't do it, Ethan. I know you didn't." And for the first time, I wondered if the real game had just begun. I remember the first time I really noticed Jax. It was freshman orientation, 2 years back, when the Longhorns' locker room smelled like fresh leather and ambition, the kind that sticks to your skin like war paint. I was Ethan Hale, the golden boy from Lubbock, 6'3" of pure velocity with an arm that could thread a needle through a hurricane. Coach Ramirez had already pegged me as the future starter, and the upperclassmen treated me like I was half god, half gimmick. We strutted in like we owned the joint, blasting trap beats from portable speakers, slapping high fives that echoed off the cinderblock walls. Jax was there, in the corner, unpacking duffels with the precision of a surgeon. He was smaller than most of us, maybe 5'10", wiry build from hauling 50-pound bags across campus, and his dark hair fell in unkempt waves over forehead, always half-hiding eyes that darted like he was mapping escape routes. No one introduced him. He just materialized with pads and helmets, murmuring stock phrases like, "Jock 12 needs resizing," or "fresh tape in bin 3. I barely registered him beyond barking, "Hey, gear boy, where's my lucky socks?" He nodded, fetched them without a word, and that was that. Invisible labor, the backbone no one bothers to thank. But football at UT wasn't just a game. It was a religion, and Austin was its neon-lit cathedral. The city pulsed with live music on 6th Street, barbecue joints belching smoke like dragons, and that endless Texas sky stretching wide enough to swallow your sins. I thrived in it. Parties at the frat houses where beer flowed like the Colorado River, girls hanging off my arm like accessories, the thrill of being untouchable. Jax? He blended into the background, clocking in at dawn for inventory, clocking out after midnight cleanups. Rumors swirled. He was from some podunk town in East Texas, scholarship kid majoring in kinesiology, but too quiet to crack the inner circle. Gay too, or so the whispers went. Nothing vicious, just locker room shorthand that made the guys chuckle and move on. I didn't care about any of that. My world was the field. The snap of the ball, the burn in my lungs during two-a-days, the way the crowds chant, "Hail! Haile! Haile!" vibrated through my chest like a second heartbeat. By sophomore year, I was the starter, leading us to a Cotton Bowl berth, my stats lighting up ESPN tickers. Jax was still there, evolving from ghost to fixture. He'd anticipate needs before I voiced them, a fresh towel after sprints, my mouthguard polished to a gleam. Once, after a brutal loss to Oklahoma, I hurled my jersey into the trash, cursing the refs like they were personal enemies. He fished it out, folded it neatly, and left it in my locker with a note. "Tomorrow's a new play." I crumpled it, but it stuck with me, a splinter under my skin. That season blurred into glory. We crushed conference rivals, my throws carving up secondaries like butter. Off-field, life was a whirlwind. Nil deals trickling in for protein shakes and local car washes. Hookups that fizzled before dawn. The pressure building like storm clouds over the hill country. Dad called weekly from Lubbock, his voice gravel from years at the oil rigs. Don't squander it, son. This is our shot. Mom's silence on the line said more. Her quiet pride masking the ache of watching me from afar, scraping by on waitressing tips. Jax and I didn't talk much. Our interactions were transactional. Pass the tape. Yeah. Size 10. Thanks, man. But there was a rhythm to it. Unspoken. He'd linger sometimes, watching film sessions from the back. His notebook scribbled with diagrams of muscle strains and recovery protocols. Smart kid, I figured, but not star material. Stars like me didn't mix with the crew behind the curtain. Then came the scout dinner, mid-season, at a steakhouse downtown where the air hung heavy with cigar smoke and the clink of bourbon glasses. I was the guest of honor, charming execs from Dallas teams, my laugh booming like it masked the knot in my gut. Jax was there too, schlepping trays of appetizers in his volunteer apron. Equipment managers moonlighted for extra cash, or so coach said. He weaved through the suits, refilling waters, his face flushed under the low lights. Our eyes met across the room, and for a beat, he held it. Not deference, but something sharper, like he saw the polish flaking off my armor. Later, as the night wound down, I found him outside, leaning against the brick wall, staring at the stars peeking through the sodium glow. You don't belong in there, I said, half joking, sliding up beside him with a cigarette I bummed from the valet. He didn't take one, just shrugged. Neither do you sometimes. It landed like a blindside hit, playful but probing. I laughed it off, exhaled smoke into the humid night. What's that supposed to mean, equipment boy? He turned, his profile sharp against the neon sign, and said, Means you're more than the highlight reel, Ethan. But you act like you're scared to prove it. I froze, the words slicing through the buzz. Who the hell was he to psychoanalyze me? But he didn't wait for a retort. He just nodded toward the streetcar rattling by and walked off into the shadows. That night, in my off-campus apartment with posters of Brady and Mahomes peeling at the edges, I replayed it. Scared? Me? Bullshit. Yet sleep evaded. The city's hum seeping through the blinds like an accusation. The next practice, I tested it. After drills, when the team dispersed, I lingered by the water cooler. Jax was restocking Gatorade, his sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms etched with faint scars. Maybe from farm work back home, I guessed. Hey! I called, casual as a handoff. What did you mean last night? He paused, wiping his hands on his jeans, those eyes locking on mine with unnerving steadiness. Just that the game's not everything. Lose sight of that, and you lose yourself. Simple words, but they hung there heavy as humidity. I nodded, mumbled thanks, and jogged off, feeling his gaze on my back like sunlight. From there, cracks formed. Small ones. A shared coffee run before dawn workouts, where he'd slip me a black Americano just how I liked, no cream. Film breakdowns in the equipment room, him pointing out tendencies I'd missed, his voice steady like a metronome. The team noticed, ribbed me, Hale's got a new caddy. But I brushed it off. It wasn't like that. Or was it? In the quiet moments, when Austin's skyline glittered like fool's gold, I caught myself wondering about him. What made a guy like Jax tick? Why he chose this grind over glory. Fall deepened, leaves turning the campus into a postcard of crimson and gold. We were undefeated, riding high toward the Big 12 title. But shadows loomed, whispers of a rival team's sabotage, anonymous tips to the compliance office about irregularities in our program. I ignored them, focused on the snap count. Jax didn't. One rainy afternoon, after a sloppy scrimmage, he pulled me aside in the tunnel, rain drumming on the roof like impatient fingers. Be careful, Ethan. Something's off. His hand brushed my shoulder. Accidental, electric, and I pulled away, heart hammering not from the weather. That touch lingered, a ghost in my veins. I'd always known I was flexible, High school flings with cheerleaders, sure, but late-night scrolls through apps. Curiosity about guys who moved with quiet confidence. Never acted on it. Football didn't leave room for complications. Jax complicated everything. He wasn't pushy, wasn't flashy, just real in a world of facades. And as the stakes rose, so did the pull, like gravity shifting under my feet. Thanksgiving break hit like a mercy rule, scattering the team back to our corners of the state. I drove home to Lubbock in my beat-up F-150, the flatlands blurring into a monotonous brown under a sky heavy with promise of dust storms. Dad clapped me on the back at the door, his calloused hand a reminder of the rigs that bent but never broke him. Heard you're tearing it up, boy. Make us proud. Mom hugged tighter, her apron dusted with flour from pecan pies, eyes misty with the unsaid. Don't forget us when you're famous. Home was a squat ranch house on the outskirts, wind chimes clanging like wind-up toys against the relentless wind. We grilled steaks that night, the sizzle masking Dad's questions about contracts, agents, the big leagues. I spun yarns about Austin's chaos, Shiner Bach at the Continental Club, all-nighters cramming plays, but my mind wandered to Jax. He texted once, a simple safe travels. Hydrate. No emojis, no fluff. I replied with a thumbs up, then stared at the screen, thumb hovering over words I couldn't type. The holiday dragged, family obligations piling like unread emails. Church on Sunday, where the pastor droned about gratitude and grace, his words landing hollow against the pews worn smooth by generations. I slipped out early, drove to the old high school field, the goalposts crooked sentinels under floodlights that flickered like dying stars. There, in the chill, I threw imaginary passes, the ball's absence a ache in my palm. Jax would have taped my elbow first, checked the wind direction, offered that half-smile that said, "You've got this." Back at UT, winter training ramped up, the Longhorn weight room a forge of iron and grunts. Jax was there at 5 a.m., spotting for the linemen, his encouragement quiet but ironclad. "One more steady," he'd say, and they'd push through. Me? I pushed harder, chasing PRs in bench and squat, the barbells clang a war drum. But off the mat, things shifted. We'd grab tacos at Torchy's after late sessions, the food trucks line snaking under string lights, the air thick with lime and chilies. Conversation flowed easier, him talking about growing up in Tyler, piney woods and church suppers, how football was his ticket out but not his endgame. "I want to fix bodies, not break 'em," he'd say, eyes on his pastor. "Therapy, maybe coaching on the side." I opened up too haltingly, about Dad's bad back from the rigs, how every throw was for him. Mom's dream of a garden we never had space for. "It's like I'm running from something I can't name," I admitted one night, the campus clock tower tolling midnight. Jax leaned back on the bench outside the Union, his hoodie zipped against the December bite. "Maybe it's not running. Maybe it's reaching." His knee bumped mine under the table. Intentional? And heat bloomed, uninvited. I laughed it off, changed the subject to the upcoming bowl prep. The team felt it too, the undercurrent. We were favored for the Fiesta Bowl, but paranoia crept in. Pranks turned pointed. Lockers rifled, protein shakes swapped with laxatives. Coach called a team meeting, his mustache twitching like a live wire. "Eyes open, gentlemen. Someone's gunning for us." Jax, in the back with the staff, met my gaze across the huddle, a silent pact forming. That pact tested early. New Year's Eve, Austin threw its annual rager, fireworks over Lady Bird Lake, bass thumping from rooftop bars. The team descended on Rainy Street, bungalows pulsing with bodies and bottle service. I was in the thick of it, shots of Patron blurring the edges, a sorority girl named Riley draped over me, her laughter tinkling like ice. But my eyes scanned for Jax. He was there, nursing a beer on the fringes, chatting with the trainers. When our groups merged, Riley dragged me to dance, but I caught Jax's eye over the crowd, wary, watchful. Midnight struck, confetti cannons erupting like celebratory gunfire. The kiss with Riley was mechanical, tasting of lip gloss and obligation. Then, weaving through the throng, Jax appeared at my elbow. "You good?" he yelled over ASAP Rocky. I nodded, too buzzed to lie. Walk with me. We slipped out, the cool air slapping sense back. Strolled the bridge, city lights fracturing on the water like shattered promises. Why'd you pull me out? I asked, breath fogging. He stopped, hands in pockets, vulnerability cracking his calm. Because I see you, Ethan. The real you. And that party's eating it alive. Heart pounding, I stepped closer, the railing cold under my palms. And what do you see? His breath hitched, eyes searching mine in the sodium glow. For a moment, the world narrowed, no team, no scouts, just us, suspended. Then he smiled, soft. Someone worth saving. No kiss, no grab, just truth, hanging between us like fog. We parted with a bro hug, but the imprint lingered, a brand. January brought bowl prep, the facility a pressure cooker. Practices stretched to 3 hours, film rooms lit till dawn. Jax and I fell into sync. He'd wrap my ankles pre-drill, fingers deft and sure, conversations dipping into deeper waters. He confessed his own ghosts, coming out in high school, the fallout with his preacher dad, the scholarship that saved him from small-town suffocation. It's lonely, he said one afternoon, taping my wrist in the quiet athletic suite. Hiding parts of you. I swallowed, the vulnerability mirror sharp. Yeah, it is. Our first real conflict hit like a sack from behind. It was a Thursday scrimmage, sun baking the field to cracked earth. I overthrew a slant, the ball sailing into the stands, drawing coach's wrath. Haile, you playing or daydreaming? I snapped back, frustration boiling over. Lay off. I'm locked in. The whistle blew, and in the huddle whispers flew me soft, distracted. Post-practice, I vented in the lot, kicking gravel like it owed me money. Jax approached, cautious. He's riding you because he believes in you. I whirled. What do you know? You're not out there bleeding. Hurt flashed in his eyes, raw as an open cut. I know enough to see you're pushing everyone away, including me. He walked off, shoulders tense, and guilt gnawed like acid. That night, I texted, sorry, heat of the moment. Hours passed. Then, it's cool. Just don't shut me out. Relief flooded, mixed with something fiercer, need. We met at the track at midnight, stars pricking the velvet sky. I apologized properly, words tumbling. The fear of failing, the weight of expectations. He listened, then pulled a crumpled photo from his wallet. Him and a younger brother, grinning at a state fair. Family's messy, but it's what grounds you. Our hands touched. Deliberate this time, fingers lacing brief and electric. No more words, just presence, solid as the earth under our feet. As the bowl loomed, bonds tightened. The team rallied, superstitions blooming. My lucky socks, which Jax laundered religiously. Pre-game playlists curated by the rookies. Off-field, Austin's winter softened. Jazz brunches at the Driscoll. Hikes in Barton Springs where the water shocked like truth. Jax and I stole moments. A shared blanket at a trail overlook, shoulders brushing as we watched Hawks wheel. Affection simmered, unspoken. A lingering glance in the mirror maze of a team outing. His laugh cutting through my sarcasm like light. But cracks widened. Anonymous emails surfaced. Tips about special treatments for stars. Vague but pointed. Compliance investigated, eyes on the equipment staff. Jax bore the brunt. Questioned in closed doors, his shifts doubled. It's nothing, he'd say. But exhaustion etched his face. Shadows under eyes like bruises. I confronted Coach. Lay off him. He's clean. Ramirez eyed me sharp. Loyalty's admirable, Hale. But protect your own house first. Doubt seeded. Was Jax too close? The night before the bowl. In the hotel lobby in Phoenix. Palms swaying under desert stars. I cornered him. Tell me you're not involved. His face crumpled, betrayal twin to mine. Ethan, after everything? He stormed off, door slamming like finality. I tossed in my room. The AC humming judgment. Replaying every touch, every word. Trust, fragile as a hiked snap, teetered. Game day dawned crimson. The Fiesta Bowl, a coliseum of 70,000 screaming souls. I suited up, mechanical, Jax's tape job the only warmth on my skin. Kickoff loomed, and with it, the unraveling. The Fiesta Bowl was a beast. The air in Glendale thick with the scent of popcorn and pre-game jitters. The stands a sea of cardinal red clashing against our burnt orange. I'd suited up in the visitors' locker room, the tile cold underfoot. My mind a loop of plays and doubts. Jax's tape held firm around my ankles, a silent anchor, but his absence in the pre-game huddle spoke volumes. He'd been reassigned to storage, coach's orders, to keep things clean. Bullshit. It was punishment for me as much as him. We took the field to Eyes of Texas. The band's brass blaring like a battle cry, pyrotechnics blooming in the dry air. The Cowboys, Oklahoma State, our eternal thorns, looked hungry, their defense stacked like a brick wall. First quarter, I dropped back, scanned, fired a dart to my slot receiver for 25 yards. Crowd erupted, but it rang hollow without Jax's nod from the sidelines. We traded blows, field position yo-yoing like a bad breakup. Halftime tied at 14. Locker room steaming with coach's fire. Dig deeper, horns. This is legacy. Second half ignited. I scrambled on 3rd and long, juking a linebacker for a 40-yard gain. The roar shaking the stadium foundations. Touchdown, and for a flash, euphoria hit pure, unfiltered. But in the quiet beat after, as Gatorade doused me, I spotted Jax hauling bins in the tunnel, his back to the glory. Guilt twisted like a knife. Post-game, if we won, I'd fix it. Had to. We pulled it out 31-28. My game ball tossed by a ref who grinned like he'd handed me the moon. ESPN called it Hale's Heave. A desperation fourth-quarter prayer that sealed it. Champions, bowl ring incoming, scouts buzzing like flies on honey. But victory soured quick. Back in Austin, the compliance probe exploded. That email from Jax? It traced to a burner account, but fingers pointed everywhere. Media swarmed. Longhorns, pity scandal? My suspension letter arrived at dawn, slipped under my apartment door like a death warrant. I drove to the athletic complex blind with rage, the campus still slumbering under January frost. Jax was in the equipment shed, inventorying shoulder pads by fluorescent hum. You! I slammed the door, the clang echoing like accusation. He spun, wrench in hand, face paling. Ethan, wait! I thrust the paper at him. Benched. Championship. Because of this shit. His eyes scanned, widened. I didn't, swear to God. I printed it to warn you. Liar? My gut screamed yes, heart no. Then who? Your grudge against the program. Hurt flared. Hot. Grudge? I've given everything, nights, weekends, my damn soul, to this team. For guys like you who treat me like dirt. Words I'd buried surfaced. Gear boy, caddy, the casual slights. Shame burned. Jax, but he cut me, voice steel. Save it. You're the star. Go chase your dreams. I'll fade back. He turned, shoulders rigid, and I left. The doors click final as a coffin nail. Days blurred into isolation. Practices banned. I ran trails alone. Barton Creek's waters mocking my reflection. Disheveled, defeated. Dad called, fury laced with fear. What the hell, son? Drugs. It's a setup, Dad. I swear. Mom's voice trembled. Come home. We believe you. But home felt like retreat, and Austin was my battlefield. Teammates ghosted, texts drying up. Only my roommate, Marco, slung a six-pack and grunted, "This'll pass, bro." Didn't. The accuser emerged. Tyler Voss, a redshirt backup I'd benched last season. Bitter as gall. He'd confessed. Framed me to steal the spotlight using a staffer's access. But Jax? Caught in the crossfire, his emails subpoenaed. Rumors twisting. Favoritism, ulterior motives. That manager kid, a beat reporter texted. He's got a rep, careful associating. Representative code for queer, for other. Rage boiled. I punched a bag at the gym till knuckles split. Rock bottom hit mid-February, Valentine's Eve, rain lashing Austin like judgment. I wandered 6th Street, bars spilling laughter that grated. Spotted Jax at a dive called The Hole, nursing a whiskey neat, alone at the end of the scarred oak bar. Heart lurched. I slid onto the stool, ordered the same. We need to talk. He glanced, weary. Nothing left, Ethan. But I pushed. Voss, it's him. And you're collateral. Relief cracked his facade. Then suspicion. Why tell me now? Because I was wrong. About everything. Words poured. The fear, the facade. How his quiet strength had chipped my walls. Rain drummed the tin roof. The jukebox crooning Patsy Cline. Ironic, aching. You're not invisible, Jax. Not to me. His fingers brushed mine on the bar top, tentative. Then sure. I never wanted to be your secret. No more hiding. We talked till closing, truths unfurling like flags in wind. His ex in Tyler, the rejection that scarred. My bisexuality, buried under bro code and bravado. I like you, I said, simple as a snap. More than like. His smile, rare and radiant. Ditto quarterback. We left together, rain slicking streets to mirrors. My apartment steps away, beckoned. No rush. Coffee brewed. Stories swapped on the couch till dawn crept, pink over the hills. His head on my shoulder, breath steady. My arm around him, world writing. First kiss came soft, tentative, tasting of whiskey and want. Sealing, not sealing the deal, but the promise. Spring semester thawed the freeze. Investigation cleared me. Voss expelled, charges pending, but scars lingered. I returned to the field, throws sharper, fueled by clarity. Jax reinstated, but dynamics shifted. No more shadows. We were open, subtle, hand on knee in the equipment room, stolen lunches at Kirby Lane, where pancakes drowned sorrows. Team adjusted. Marco first. About time, Hale. He's solid. Whispers faded. Respect grew. But conflict brewed anew. NFL Combine loomed, my ticket out. Scouts circled. Workouts brutal. 40-yard dashes in Indy. Interviews probing character. Jax supported, but doubt shadowed his eyes. What if I hold you back? Late night, tangled in sheets. Chaste, exploratory touches mapping trust. I traced his jaw. You're the forward, not the anchor. Yet undercurrents pulled. His internship offer in Dallas PT. My pro dreams pulling coasts apart. Climax built slow, then exploded. April draft buzz peaked. I was projected mid-round. Dallas tempting with hometown hero spin. Jax's dad resurfaced. A call from Tyler, voice oil slick. Heard about your boy. Church don't abide that. Jax hung up, shattered, retreating into silence. I pushed. Tell me. Tears, rare for him. He says I'm poison. To you, to us. Rage flared. I drove us to the ranch house he'd grown up in, now a shell. Peeling paint, swing creaking empty. This isn't poison, I said, hand in his. This is us. He pulled away, storm breaking. You're rising, Ethan. I'm the guy who tapes ankles. What happens when the lights blind you? Words gutted. You think I'd leave? I think life's not a highlight reel. We fought. Raw. Fears of abandonment. Inequality. The world's grind against us. He left at dusk. Taillights fading into pine shadows. Alone, I broke, sobs racking like sacks. Weeks crawled. Draft neared, my workouts mechanical. Teammates rallied. A surprise team dinner at Franklin Barbecue. Brisket piled high. Jax showed. Tentative. Toasts rang. To Hale and his secret weapon. Laughter bridged. Later, under live oaks strung with lights, we mended. I'm scared, he admitted. Me too. Vows unspoken. Fight together. But betrayal lurked, sharp as a stinger. The NFL draft was a circus, Vegas glitz masking the knife edge of dreams. Late April. The strip pulsed neon fever. The green room a pressure vat of suits and spotlights. I sat with family. Dad starched in his one tie, Mom clutching pearls like lifelines. Jax beside me in a borrowed blazer, his hand finding mine under the table, hidden but vital. We'd reconciled in Austin's spring bloom, azaleas exploding pink against the tension. Our bond reforged in quiet dates. Picnics at Pease Park, where he'd sketch rehab plans on napkins, me dreaming aloud of pro-life. Commissioner Goodell took the stage, envelope in hand. Round one ticked by, stars falling like dominoes. My phone buzzed. Agent texts. Dallas leaning. Heart soared. Home soil. Legacy. Jack squeezed my knee. Whatever it is, you've earned it. Round two. Pick 48. With the 48th selection, the Dallas Cowboys select Ethan Hale, quarterback, University of Texas. Eruption, hugs, flashes blinding. On stage, cap backward, I grinned for the cameras, but my eyes sought Jack's in the crowd, his nod the real prize. Aftermath blurred. Pressers, photos, the weight of cowboy on my shoulders. We escaped to a suite overlooking the fountains. Bellagio's water ballet, a symphony below. We did it, I whispered, pulling him close. His kiss, deeper now, spoke volumes. Pride laced with fear. Now the real work. Pro camps in July, OTAs, the grind amplified. We planned, him finishing his degree, me commuting weekends to Austin till he graduated. Betrayal struck like lightning, mid-May. Back in Austin for a ceremonial ring presentation. The auditorium packed with boosters and Stetsons. Chandeliers dripping like honeyed chum. I was mid-speech. To the unsung heroes. When my phone vibrated insistent. A text from Marco. Check the feed. Now. Heart-dropping. I slipped backstage. Screen glowing accusation. A blurry photo. Time-stamped last fall. Me and Jax on that bridge. His hand on my arm. Caption from an anonymous athletics account. Star QB's equipment perks? Longhorn scandal not just drugs. Viral in minutes. Twitter. X now exploded. Memes of me as a puppet, Jax as the strings. Slurs slinging like mud. Hale's distraction?
Utcovers for queers?
Dad called, voice thunder. What the fuck is this, Ethan? Mom's silence worse. Coach Ramirez pulled me aside post-ceremony. Face granite. Handle it, or it handles you. Jax found me in the green room, face ashen. It's Voss. Again. He hacked my phone. Fury white hot. Will sue. Fight. But the fight turned inward. Media hounded. My agent frantic. Team spook easy. Clean it up. Dallas brass scheduled a chat. Code for damage control. Nights, Jax and I barricaded in my apartment. Blinds drawn against paparazzi flashes. I'm poison, he repeated, echo of his father's venom. No, I countered, holding him fierce. We're strength. But cracks spiderwebbed. His sleep fractured. My throws in pickup games wild. Climax crested Memorial Day weekend. Austin's heat a broiler. A support rally, organized by alumni half fans, half foes, swelled outside the athletic complex. Signs waving, Hail for Cowboys. Clashing with purity in sports. Jax wanted to hide. I refused. We face it. We stepped out together, hands linked defiant. The crowd a roar of confusion. Microphones thrust. Ethan, is this a distraction? Jax, comment on the affair? I seized the mic, voice steady as a long bomb. This isn't a distraction. Jax Donovan isn't equipment. He's the man who kept this team whole, who saw me when I was blind. Yeah, we're together. And if that's a problem for your purity crusade, look elsewhere. Jax spoke next, voice cracking but clear. Football taught me resilience. Love taught me heart. We're not your scandal, we're human. Silence. Then cheers drowned the booze. A wave of orange solidarity. But betrayal's blade twisted deeper. That night, rifling emails for evidence. I found it. A chain from Jax's account. Wait. No. Forwarded from Voss. But one reply from Jax. Understood. Keep it quiet. Dated pre-scandal. Innocuous? Or complicit? Heart seized. What is this? I demanded, screen shoved under his nose. His face drained. Ethan, it's misread. Voss pressured me for access codes. Said it was for team pranks. I shut it down. Doubt poisoned. Shut it down? or enable. Accusations flew, old wounds reopening. You used me to get close to what exposed the program. Tears streamed his face, raw. I loved you. Before the fame, before any of this. But evidence mounted, timestamps aligning with the first leaks. Police involved now, Voss denying, but Jax's fingerprints, digital, smudged. I can't. I choked, backing away. Trust's gone. He reached, broken. Ethan, please. Door slammed, final as a dropped pass. Exile followed. I fled to Lubbock. Dad's garage, a tomb of silence. Workout solitary, throws into a net that mocked return. Dallas wavered. Reevaluate post-investigation. Jax texted once. I'm innocent. Believe when you're ready. Deleted. Unread. June scorched. Isolation a kiln. Marco visited. Blunt. You're an idiot. He's clean. Voss framed him with phishing. Proof trickled. IT forensics. Jax's logs clean. Shame crashed. Title. I drove back. Monsoon raging. Wipers slashing tears. His apartment dark. Note on door. Gone to Tyler. Clear my name. Love always. Panic clawed. Called voicemail. Jax, I'm coming. Wait. The road to East Texas unspooled. Pines blurring in downpour. Climax waited in the pines. The drive to Tyler was a gauntlet. Highway 31 slicing through sheets of rain like a desperate Hail Mary. Thunder rumbling judgment from the gods of regret. My wipers slapped frantic, headlights carving tunnels through the deluge. But nothing pierced the storm in my chest. Jax's note burned in my pocket. Gone to Tyler. Clear my name. Love always. A lifeline or a goodbye? I'd accused him. The one soul who'd seen past the jersey to the fractured kid beneath. Voss's frame job unraveled in my mind now. Forensics vindicating. But too late. The betrayal was mine, self-inflicted. A fumble in the red zone. Tyler greeted with sodden humidity. The pine-scented air thick as unresolved sin. His family home squatted on a gravel lane off Loop 323. A single story with sagging porch and a pickup rusted to the frame. His dad's, no doubt. Lights flickered through rain-streaked windows. A TV's blue glow promising confrontation. I parked crooked. Dashed up steps. Pounding the door till paint flaked. Jax. It's me. It creaked open, not Jax, but a man in his 50s. Broad as a blocking sled. Face etched with lines like bad calls. Eyes narrow under a trucker cap. Reverend Elias Donovan, Jax's father. The ghost from phone calls. Hail, he spat, no warmth. Come to finish ruining my boy? I swallowed barbs. Rain dripping from my hair. Reverend, I need to see him. Please. His laugh, bitter bark. He's inside, picking up pieces you shattered. But you're the devil's plaything. Dragging him into your sodomite circus. Words I'd hurled at shadows now boomeranged. But I held ground. With respect, sir, your son's the strongest man I know. And I love him. Door widened grudging. A concession. Inside smelled of fried okra and old Bibles. The living room a shrine to faded glory. Cross-stitched psalms. Jax's high school jersey framed like a relic. He sat on the couch, knees drawn, staring at a muted football recap. Irony's cruel hook. His eyes met mine, red-rimmed, guarded. Ethan, go. No. I knelt, water pooling, voice raw. I was wrong. Voss tricked us both, but I let doubt win. You're innocent. Marco showed me the logs, the traces. I believe you. Silence stretched, rain pattering tin roof like impatient judgment. His dad hovered, arms crossed, a sentinel of scripture. Jax's gaze searched, probing wounds. Belief's easy now. What about when it costs? Elias cleared throat. Heavy. Boy, this world's poison. Football, fame, that lifestyle. Come back to church, to sense. Jax's flinch was visceral, old scars reopening. Dad, enough. Ethan's not the villain. You are, with your love the sinner, hate the sin cage. Shock rippled the Reverend's face, then softening. Grief? I lost you once. Can't again. Jax stood, bridge forming. Then see me. All of me. We talked raw, unfiltered, till dawn grayed the windows. Elias thawed, sharing tales of Jax's youth. Little league home runs, sermons preached to squirrels. He's always fought for underdogs, he admitted, glancing at me. Like his mother. Her photo on the mantel, gone 5 years to cancer. Eyes like Jax's, kind, unyielding. Tears came, collective, washing grudges. I was scared, Elias confessed, of losing you to a world that chews boys like you. Jax hugged him. First in years, the room shrinking to forgiveness. I drove Jax back to Austin that afternoon. His hand in mine over the console. The sky clearing to impossible blue. What now? He asked, voice tentative. We build, I said. Together. Dallas welcomed me to camp in July. Minicamp a blur of playbooks and pedigrees. Jax finished finals. Landed his PT internship. Dallas, miracle of miracles. Weekends, we'd meet at White Rock Lake. Kayaks cutting water. Talking futures. His clinic dreams, my backup plans if the arm faltered. Summer waned. Preseason dawned. The Cowboys' facility gleamed steel and ambition. Arlington's heat, a familiar Texas forge. Teammates ribbed. Brought your own trainer? But respect followed, especially after my coming out op-ed in The Athletic. The game changers, detailing Jax, us, the fight. Backlash hissed, but allies roared. Leagues pledging inclusivity. Fans waving rainbow Longhorns flags. Fall opener, Monday Night Football against the Giants. Jax in the family section, Elias beside him, begrudging fan now, cap pulled low. Kickoff, I dropped back, scanned, hit the seam for 60 yards. Crowd thundered. Jax's whoop carried. Halftime, down 10, locker room tense. Dak Prescott, my vet mentor, clapped my shoulder. Play your heart, kid. I did, game winner, a bootleg keeper into the end zone, clock 0. Post-game, Jax on the field, hugging fierce amid confetti. Proud, he whispered. Elias nodded. Gruff. Good throw. Life settled, not easy but earned. Winters in Dallas meant lights at the American Airlines Center. Brisket dates at Pecan Lodge. Springs, we'd retreat to Austin, hiking Enchanted Rock where boulders cradled stars. Conflicts lingered, media scrutiny, Elias's slow thaw, the league's grind. But we navigated, therapists for Jax's scars, my sports psych for performance anxiety. Humanistic, yeah. No fairy tale perfection, just two guys choosing each other daily. Respect the mortar. One night, tailgate before Thanksgiving game, under a sky stitched with constellations, Jax proposed. Not ring, but promise. Marry me? Not for show, but us. Tears pricked. Hell yes. Elias walked him down the aisle a year later. Small ceremony in Tyler Pines. Vows echoing. In glory and grit, I choose you. Years folded. My career peaked, then pivoted to color commentary when the arm whispered quit. Jax's clinic thrived, treating jocks and janitors alike. Dad and Elias bonded over grill-outs. Mom's garden finally blooming in our backyard. Betrayals faded to footnotes, conflicts to character. We weren't stars, just men, loving fierce in America's vast, forgiving heart. And in quiet moments, hand in his, I'd think he was just the equipment manager. But damn, he equipped me for life.